You must be wondering, I want to go into a teaching institution, or I want to be accepted into a nurse residency program. How do I do it? Especially being a graduate nurse. Well, in this video, we're going to talk all about that, so definitely keep watching. My name is Christine, and welcome to a new video. If it's your first time here and you want to become a CRNA or grow your CRNA career, start now by subscribing and hitting the bell so you don't miss anything. So yes, I was a part of a nurse residency program at NYU Langone Medical Center, and it was a scary but exciting experience. I definitely was able to graduate from my Bachelor of Nursing and being a graduate nurse and go right into the ICU. And did it help? Well, we're going to talk all about that in this video. So when I was a junior in university, when I was going for my bachelor's, I was spoke to a couple of students, and we were thinking about doing an internship because our school, I went to University of Buffalo, upstate New York, and a lot of students went into a internship program at different teaching hospitals throughout the state as well as throughout the country. So I heard it from one of my classmates, and I was like, oh, I would love to do that, especially being a student and not having funds. The nice thing about the internship was that you get paid. So yes, you get experience and you get to work besides a preceptor in the ICU, or it could be in another area. It could be labor and delivery. There's so many different areas you can go into in nursing. But for me, I was interested in going into ICU. I just wanted to get some experience. And I heard that was a great area to go into. So working with my faculty as well as my advisors, they spoke to me about the NYU Langone internship program. So I applied, got accepted to do it. So when I started my internship, of course, I was nervous. I was, a graduate nurse, just getting my clinical experience. I really didn't have much experience in general in nursing. It was a great area to go into because I felt I learned a lot. It definitely helped me when I did my senior year of university. It definitely helped me with the information and didactics and all those different things. So it definitely gave me a little boost. So when I did my internship, it was great. I learned a lot. I grew. I also connected with other nursing students, as well as some students went to nursing schools in the city area. While University of Buffalo, the school I went to, was upstate New York, so it's definitely about an 8-hour drive, as well as maybe an hour and a half flight. So the nice thing about a lot of these internship programs, you may do it during the summer, but you can also do it during, part-time. When you're in school, you can do it during your last year, which is nice. You can get some money on the side, as well as get some, experience in, the specific area you're interested in. So I did during the summer, but I had to go back to school upstate New York, so I didn't get the opportunity to continue. But if you have the opportunity, definitely continue. As I've heard from other students that I was in school with, that it really got a lot of experience. It definitely helped them when they were transitioned to being from a graduate nurse to becoming a regular nurse, in a unit. So definitely keep doing it if you have the opportunity to. So after that, I finished my summer. I went back up to school, and I finished my year. It was amazing. Definitely nerve-wracking because now I got to go back to school, definitely finish my last year, and definitely work hard at it. I did my last year, and then I knew to myself, was I going to go back to New York City, or was I going to stay upstate New York and go back for my PhD? And at the time when I was thinking about, when I graduate, I was thinking of going right back to school to become a nurse practitioner. And at the time, I thought that I wanted to be a psych nurse practitioner because when I was in university at that time, I was doing a double major. I did psychology and I did nursing. I love psychology. And I thought that I was going to become a psych nurse practitioner. So I applied to, of course, the PhD program at University of Buffalo. And as well as I also made sure I had a backup plan. I applied to a job in New York City. And of course, I applied to NYU. I already had my foot in the door because I did the internship. So it was a much easier transition for me to get accepted, to have my interview. And I knew, a lot of my coworkers, and I already developed a relationship with my preceptor, and they pretty much knew me. So it was a very easy transition for me to go right into the ICU. So I did that. So I applied. So I had two options. So when I was thinking, I got accepted to go for my PhD at University of Buffalo, right? So I got accepted. I was excited. And then I also got accepted to work in the ICU. But initially I wanted to try to work in the psych, department, because that's specifically the area that I wanted to go into. However, interestingly enough, even as a nurse resident, at the time, it was like one of the first cohorts to do the residency program at NYU. So they didn't have like an opening for a graduate nurse to go into psych. They want you to get at least a year of experience in another area, and then after that, you can go into psych. So naturally, it just fell into place for me getting accepted into the ICU, which I was thankful because I already knew the ICU setting, especially being an intern. So now I had these two things weighing on my head. I'm like, what am I going to do? Now, the one thing that happened with me, specifically why I chose to go back to New York, was my father, my stepfather. He was very, very ill, and he was very sick. And yes, I did want to go back to school, get my PhD, and stay upstate. But my family was in New York, and for me, family's everything. And yes, for me, of course, I wanted to go back to school, and continue my education, but I had to go home. Family comes first. And my stepfather was very old. He was much older. He was in his 80s. So priority was to go home and be there by his side, especially in the last, couple of years or last year of him being with me. So I chose to go back to New York, and honestly, it was one of the best decisions I made. Be there for my father at the last point of his life, as well as go into the nurse residency program at NYU, which was amazing. I'm happy that I went right into being a nurse, because I got to get that really good skill set. I got a foundation. I really got to really know, ICU nursing, and I felt like I became, I really developed myself. So I started, I think, I made sure I took my NCLEX, and I already had scheduled to start a specific date. So then I started. So I've had a previous video about, motivation and how to keep at it when you're in the ICU. So definitely watch that video. But I'm going to get into more detail into how to that transition. So when I got accepted, to work in the ICU, we had a 1-year, something called a nurse residency program. So what happened, they would follow you from day one to, to the 1 year, and they follow you throughout your whole experience as a graduate nurse. We had monthly meetings. We also had, depending on your specialty area, they had didactics, they had lectures, they had a lot of PowerPoints, they had a lot of information, and I felt like I was in school again, but it was more specific to my specialty in ICU nursing. Now, when we went to the ICU, there's multiple ICUs, right? So for us, when I was in ICU, it was a variety. So I had experience in the medical ICU, the surgical ICU, the cardiovascular ICU, the critical care, the trauma ICU. So we had a wide variety of experience in all the different ICU settings, which was great. And so all of us, no matter what area in the critical care you were in, we were together. We were all learning and growing together. So the first 3 months, it was more didactic, as well as it combined with being with a preceptor on the unit and getting that experience. So you must be thinking to yourself, did I have to pay for this out of pocket? Was this an extra expense? Or were you not being paid? Well, to clarify it all for you, I was being paid a graduate nurse salary. So I was hired, to, work as a nurse. I got paid a graduate nursing salary. So I definitely have a video on graduate ICU salary for you. So definitely click that link above. So I did that. I got paid for it, as well as I got my experience. There was no out-of-pocket cost for me to be a part of this residency program. It was all included. I actually got paid, which was awesome. So I would work my, required 40 hours, and I got paid my salary. It also included, like, if you were, working as a nurse, you got your health benefits, you have your, sick and leave time, you have your salary and all those things. So when I was a graduate nurse at NYU, it was, I think it was like a decade ago. I think when I was a graduate, I was making about $44 an hour, which is approximately about $88,000 to $92,000 a year. And I had full benefits, and I also got my experience as an ICU nurse, which was amazing. That was great, you know? And my first 3 months, like I was saying before, it was more didactic, and of course I had a preceptor. And then the next 3 months, I transitioned into night shift, and I also had a preceptor that was helping us transition into that unit. So for the ICU, NYU Langone, at the time when I was in school, it was like a 6 months type of orientation period. 3 months on days, 3 months on nights, and then you were on your own, spreading your wings. Now, even though after the 6 months of the orientation period, I still had monthly meetings with my whole cohort throughout, there's different areas. Some of the nurses were in labor and delivery, some were in pediatric ICU, some people were in neuro ICU, critical care unit, maybe medical surgical floor. It all depended on the area you were in. We all still met every single month. We had a support, because of course it's stressful being a graduate nurse, as well as you had someone that was there for you to help you through the experience. You had someone you can always go to if you have any questions or concern. And I felt like it was a nice transition. And it definitely helped me because I felt like I was supported, my first year. Because a lot of times you go into a critical care unit or you go into a specific specialty, but you don't feel that support. And you feel like, oh my God, how am I going to continue on? But I had that support, which was great. So that was just amazing for me. So if you have the opportunity, everyone's different, every state is different, but if you do have the opportunity, I would definitely recommend that you try your best to apply for a nurse residency program wherever you're located across the country. I do recommend, if you have the opportunity, that your last semester of nursing school, like after your junior year, you have that summer break. If you have that opportunity to try to do some research in your specific area and try to apply to do a summer internship. Just remember, you will get paid for it, more than likely. It all depends on the institution, but a lot of times they do pay you. So definitely do that, because what will happen is when you do graduate as a graduate nurse, now you say to yourself, I want to become a graduate nurse in a teaching institution. It's a much easier transition. They already know you, they develop a relationship with you, and so it's an easy transition for you to get accepted to get a job in the ICU right away. So that would be a tip and trick that I would recommend, that if I can give that wise decision, definitely recommend you trying to do that. So I know I may have missed a couple of tips. So definitely let me know if you are currently in a nurse residency program, if you want to go into a nurse residency program, definitely comment below. So if you want to learn more about CRNAs and how to grow your CRNA, definitely click one of these videos over here, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.